Hey guys, it's Ian here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today I want to talk about Adam Eve, the new episode slash mini movie that came out that deals with the Invincible story. It's the new thing that came out on Amazon Prime. It is kind of a thing to hold us over until they get ready to release the next season. And overall, it was pretty good. It was a 55-minute episode, and it was really great at telling us the origin story for Adam Eve. And it worked out really, really well. I really enjoyed the animation. It was really crisp and really nice and very fluid. I liked it a lot. I can't remember what group works on this, but it does feel kind of like Studio Mir. So it might be them, it might not be. I don't think it really matters to me. Like, it's not super important for me to know because I just know that I like it, right? So, yeah. But in terms of like what the story is about, basically, we learn the story of Adam Eve from the time right before her birth all the way to when she basically turns 14 or 15, basically right before she becomes a real superhero. So what I'm guessing is it's probably going to be a second part that then leads us into when she meets Mark, but I'm not really sure that that's going to be the case. It might not be necessary, but it basically deals with her inception, where she comes from. Basically, she was a military project. Her mother was a homeless person from the street, and her father, basically, the guy that or the man that was associated with her birth was this doctor guy, Randyworth, I think, or Brandyworth, who was the scientist behind the technology that she embodies, right? And so one day he decides to grow a conscience. He has this moment, this epiphany of like, oh, this is bad. And so he decides to try to get her to escape. And the way to do this is by taking advantage of the situation that's happening in order to remove her mother from the facility they're in, go to a normal hospital, and then switch out the child with someone else's and have her live a normal life. The thing is that because she is this experiment, she has kind of a different vibe. And almost, to me and to my roommate that watched it with me, it almost felt like Adam Eve in the early stages of her life was kind of like someone that was on the spectrum. She was very good at one specific thing. She was pretty, interested in that stuff, but she was bad at communicating. And my roommate basically was like, oh, this feels like it's kind of coded to be this way. I don't really know either way, but it was a pretty interesting thing that we both noticed, and I thought it was interesting. It doesn't really make too much of a difference to the story, but it was interesting to see it, right? So she's this, and then her parents, these kind of like generic Southern people, at least that's kind of what it feels like to me, are really difficult with her. Like they don't know how to interact with her, and when they do, they basically end up being pretty horrible people to her, which really, really sucks, especially her dad. And this makes her issues, her personal problems, even worse. Eventually, she does get a friend, and then ultimately this friend disappears from her life when Eve finally manages to awaken her powers. And her powers happen to be molecular manipulation, and she can affect basically the world. She's essentially God, but because of the doctor, she has a certain level of limiters put on her that she can't really break unless a specific situation occurs. And then she starts becoming a superhero, a little cute teenage superhero. Those moments reminded me a lot of The Incredibles, and I liked that. I thought that was fun. And then she gets found out by the military guy, and then her life kind of unravels here. She has this big moment of sacrifice, of self-sacrifice, and of choice. Is she going to be a good person? Is she going to descend into the madness that is more or less justified by her existence? Or is she going to be a moral, upstanding citizen and become a hero? And eventually she does choose to be a hero because ultimately she is a good person. And she has to have a fight with basically her siblings, other experiment children, and she doesn't necessarily kill them, but she might as well have. And so this is a big problem for her. And then the story basically ends with her kind of connecting with her adoptive mother, and then kind of remembering her what if family, her family that could have been. And it ends, and then we kind of get this cute little like montage time skip thing to her in the series, her in the original series. And then we have a little kind of post-credit scene, which is like, what was Marcus doing at this time? And Marcus is being a stupid little kid, as you would expect. And overall, this was a great, great, great show. I definitely recommend you guys watch it if you haven't watched it. And I definitely recommend you guys watch it after watching Invincible. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't do anything for Invincible. But I don't think that you would appreciate it as much if you watched it first. So this isn't necessarily a prequel that you can watch beforehand. You should definitely watch the Invincible series first so you can get attached to this character before you decide to learn about her story. So yeah, overall, that's basically all there is to say here. I enjoyed it. I would give this like an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was great. I thought it was good, but it wasn't perfect. And partially, I think it's because the story doesn't really feel like it adds much, because you don't really need her background in order to appreciate her as a character. But it is better that it shows up instead of not being addressed at all. So, there's some positives here, even if it's not necessarily something that ultimately is necessary. So there you go. Those are my thoughts here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought down below about the video or about the show if you guys watched it. And thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.